Bakker the naturopath. Thanks for coming back. We're talking about salicylate sensitivity. This is a whole series basically based on the condition called salicylate sensitivity. You may want to start, right at the beginning. What is salicylate sensitivity? Then I talk about the symptoms. I talk about diagnosis. I didn't want to make one big, long video. I find most people would end up just falling asleep. So we've broken it down into smaller, shorter videos so you can look at specific, topics pertaining to this particular area. So let's talk about the salicylate sensitive diet now. So I've got a couple of handouts here. This one here in particular, which you'll probably like to have. This is my clinic handout, which I've used for 20 years plus in the clinic. So this is a list that I compiled many years ago now about, the fruits, vegetables, and things like that. The high salicylates, the very high, the moderate, and the low, the medium to low kind of thing. So you can get an idea on the kind of foods that could stimulate or provoke a reaction in you. Bearing in mind that the highest salicylate containing thing that you'll ever take in likely will be aspirin. So if you're taking that in every day, as I mentioned in all the other videos, you need to be careful because, there's dumb taking aspirin daily and then trying to take all the foods out with salicylates in there because it's not really going to do much for you. So what are some of the best foods you can eat? Or the foods that you should be eating if you're salicylate sensitive? Well, the first thing to work out, obviously, is all the foods you're eating, how much salicylates are contained in those foods. Some foods, as I mentioned previously, will be very, very low. For example, if we look at fruits, most fruits, for example, will contain some level of salicylates, because salicylates will help to prevent insect attack, but also that fruit from rotting. So some fruits, like berries, are really high in salicylates, whereas other fruits, if we look at pears and bananas, are like very low in salicylates. So pears and bananas are fine to eat, for example. Now remember, this video has got nothing to do with candida or SIBO or bacteria or nothing like that at all. So we're not taking that into account. Basically, all we're saying is that some foods are high in salicylates and some are low. So that's what we're talking. So if I get comments, hey doctor, I can't eat bananas, you told me to not eat them, and now you're saying that they're fine to eat when they got candida. So don't come with that kind of line to me, because remember, this is about salicylate sensitivity. Okay, it's not about candida, all right? Because bananas, with many people, can cause huge amounts of bloating and gas and tremendous discomfort if you've got lots and lots of yeast in your gut. If you've got lots of dysbiotic bacteria, for example, not a good idea to eat bananas for some people, okay? So that's not what I'm talking about here. So if we look at some of the foods, for example, the negligible on the low list in the fruits I mentioned are bananas and pears. They're quite safe to eat. And I've personally found pears to be one of the best fruits across a wide range of conditions for most people. There was a British doctor many years ago who came out with a lamb and pears diet for people with really, really bad allergies, because I've not really found allergies towards lamb or pears out of just about every food you can imagine. People aren't really allergic to those things, so they seem to suit many people with serious allergy problem, okay? So if we look at the negligible for the vegetables, what are some of the good ones you can eat? I've got in my list here cabbage, celery, lettuce, peeled potatoes, Swedes, dried beans, dried peas, brown lentils, red lentils, and rice. So many of the carbo foods tend to be fine with salicylate sensitivity. Okay, animal protein foods provide the lowest amount of salicylates. So this won't really be something that vegans would like to hear, but animal proteins are safe to eat if you've got a salicylate issue generally, especially according to the Urticaria Society and different allergy societies around the world. They say that animal proteins are fine. Although you should avoid, obviously, foods, that are extremely over-prepared, like sausages or salami or things like bacon. You need to be careful with these foods, mainly because of their processing, not so much because of the salicylates. Bread, cereals, grains, popcorn and corn, rice, pasta and noodles are low in salicylates. Okay, so these foods seem to be quite safe for many people to eat. The fruits, just watch out, because fruits cause a lot of people problems. Strawberries, berries are really high in salicylates, and they can really flare some people up. Urticaria, like itching skin, funny mouth syndrome, and often salicylates are involved in that. Let's have a look here. No, we'll talk about that in the foods to avoid list, particularly the foods to avoid. So you're pretty safe. So make sure you get my salicylate handout, because that will give you a good idea, you know, on what is good, what's bad, and what's ugly, okay, when it comes to salicylates. So I'll catch up in the next video. Thanks for tuning in.